I'm starting to regret letting you blindfold us, Mike. You better not try any whack stuff while we are down here. It's pretty cold.
What do you mean, what stuff?
Nothing weird is gonna happen. I'm just preparing to show you guys something amazing I received in the mail last week. So do you guys remember a few months back when I bought that cherry animatronic?
With my money?
Yeah, you know the one. Well, a special donator reached out and gave us a brand new model that we can use.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Cherry's Pizza Place.
All I had to do was install some old code from this hard drive I had laying around, and she's back!
Eat your pizza like you would your enemies.
Okay, you are going off.
How did that hard drive off the guitar to get her working?
Oh, because it actually had a few lost games that I made in the past, 2 of which included Cherry. I just copied and pasted the code and it worked. Hopefully there weren't any viruses or anything.
You made more games? Just when I thought you couldn't have wasted your life more.
Hey, listen, this was my childhood. And I still have more life in me.
But you're dead.
Okay, this is getting ridiculous. Mike, is this all you wanted to show us? Because I need to be across town in 5 minutes for a job application.
Well, I wanted to show you guys those games I was talking about.
Yeah, no, I need to go. Are you coming, Dot?
I don't know what a job is.
Okay, you guys, have fun. I'll see you tonight.
So about 2 years ago, I released a video where I talked about some of my terrible Fnaf fan games. At the time, I showed 6 games that I found in my Scratch account, which was also where I initially developed and published the games. I think I mentioned that I made more games, but at the time I couldn't find them, so I just went ahead with the games that I had. However, today, I bring you those lost 6 games I found! Why is there an asterisk? Well, when I rediscovered these games, I came to a realization that only 2 of these games were actually completed and fully fleshed out. The rest were either beginnings of games or just kind of like mini games for some sort of tie-in to the lore of the other games. I guess I kind of forgot I never finished them, but there is still a lot of stuff here which I think is interesting. So I'm going to divide this video into 3 major sections. The first being the completed games, the second being the fun oddities, and then finally I will go over the uncompleted games since I can remember what these games were initially supposed to be. So without further ado, now, I think we are all familiar with the Fnaf fan game series Five Nights at Treasure Island. It's probably one of the more influential fan games in the community, spawning off and inspiring some of the best fan games we know today. It's a Mall World is kind of my version of the game, except it's even lower quality than the main inspiration. So this game's narrative is kind of a mix of creepypastas and urban legends. This game takes inspiration from the Suicide Mouse creepypasta instead of the original Treasure Island one. And for urban legends, all we need to do is open this slide out tray to learn more about the game. So similar to its name, this game is based on the ride It's a Small World After All, and in particular the story about a hung child in the ride. The image was shot in 1999, and while yeah, it's pretty obvious that it's fake now, this was like the perfect plot point to create a horror game around. In this game, you are basically a night guard watching the ride to prevent any unwanted visitors from tampering with the ride. No need for an actual office though, it just seems like you kind of propped up a chair in the middle of the show itself and are just vibing there. However, some supernatural things start to occur during your shift, as the spirit of the hung child and other haunted entities start to attack you. So, who is in this roster? First, we have the spirit of the dead child. He will randomly appear in the breaker room and mess with the power, and it's your job to cut the power remotely from your station. If you fail to stop him, you die. Next, we have A skeleton? Oh, okay, wait, this is actually a skeleton from the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. Cool Disney fact, did you know the skeletons on the ride are real? Well, they used to be, before they were replaced later on. Apparently Walt Disney himself said that fake skeletons at the time did not look real enough, so he legit took skeletons of the cadavers from UCLA and used them in his ride. So basically I spun a narrative like, well, what if those skeletons were also haunted? Ooh, boom, skeleton enemy. He will randomly appear at the left of your door and you have to force it shut remotely from your monitor to prevent your death. Next up we have Mr. Potato Head? This makes no sense. Mr. Potato Head didn't exist anywhere in Disneyland near the time of the initial child hanging, and when actual skeletons were in the Pirates ride. So I don't know what is happening here. I guess I felt like I needed an animatronic in here, and this incompleted Mr. Potato Head image I found on the internet was too good to pass up. So I added it in. He is basically a skeleton clone, except he attacks from the right door this time. And finally we have this thing, a blue blob of stuff. I have no idea who this character is or what it's supposed to represent, but he appears as a secret character who randomly occupies all of the cameras at once. Cutting the power should get rid of him, so if anything, he's just a glorified haunted child. Despite all of the stolen and sloppily composited sprites, the gameplay is actually really solid for what is presented here. The fact that the cut power controls are separate from the monitor make it really difficult to manage efficiently, and makes the power attacks more dangerous, especially since if you get double teamed by the child and any other enemy, you need to wait a sec for the power to return, which could be fatal if you don't close the door you need to shortly after. I don't think much else needs to be said about this game. There is a secret in the intro screen which play out like a rendition of the initial Suicide Mouse videotape and implies some sort of connection between the Suicide Mouse story and the Small World hanging incident. There is also an extras menu for the first and only time in my games, but other than that, yeah, that's it. That is a mall world after all. Why is it called this though? Kind of a weird name for such a well-known ride. I'll give you one word: copyright. So this is a direct sequel to the first Plush game I talked about in my first video. I don't think I ever went over the lore of the games in any meaningful extent, so here's a quick rundown for the events up to this point. You need to buy some toys for some rich person's children. You skimp out and get some seal plushies at a super shady store. Horror ensues, and that was the game. This game follows up on that game's story by letting you play as the rich patron, not initially heeding your friend's warnings, and thus having to go through the nightmare yourself. This time you need to deal with the same two plushies from the last game. However, this time we have a third plush thrown into the mix. How is he here? I don't know. I gave up on the second installment. Your objective is to survive the night, but you need to be on the move to stay safe, while also being diligent about your surroundings. In the main room, you have the red plush, which is kind of like the game's puppet. You need to shine your light on him for a certain amount of time to get his gauge up to 100%. If his gauge drops to 0, you die instantly, even if you aren't in the same room as him. The two other plushies act kind of like nightmare animatronics. You need to be on the move, otherwise you die. So the game forces you in a situation where you need to determine if you are safe in the room or not. If you hear breathing, you are not safe and need to get out of there as fast as possible. However, if you are safe, you can use your light to look for supplies in the rooms. If you use your flashlight on a plush in the same room as you, it's game over, and you don't have any extra lives like in the last games. Actually, now that I think about it, the red plush is kind of like a version of the Freddles. Actually, this game as a whole is very similar to Fnaf 4. In terms of the secrets, there were only two that I could find in the form of the cutscenes. They're kind of broken, probably due to the way Scratch has changed its code over time, but we can see some cool stuff from what is working. So we have one interaction between two people, which seems to be a recreation of the events that precede this game, and the second one is a cutscene of what seems to be a... Holy shit. There was a hostage situation. Oh, okay, hold up. Another experience I had in elementary school happened when I was in 2nd grade. Wait, hold. Are you mentally okay? What the hell? Are you mentally okay? So yeah, that was Plush 2. It was overall interesting, and I liked how I built upon the mechanics of the first game, even if I did inadvertently make it a Fnaf 4 clone in a lot of parts. And that basically concludes my completed games. However, we are far from done with the content today. Let's look at some interesting oddities that I found. This is some real grab bag shit, to be honest, so let's just dive right in. So yeah, we are going back to Plush again, but instead we have this special version of the game which I made for mobile devices. A mobile game? On Scratch? How is that even possible? Well, okay, it's like a mobile game with quotation marks around it because, like, it's the most complicated thing ever, to be honest. So basically there was a part where I had to convert the Scratch game to Flash. That was pretty simple. There was like this crazy workaround I devised to make it work on mobile. So like, it was just a Flash game, and I asked people to download this app called the Puffin web browser, which was basically like Safari on the iPhone, but it let people play Flash content. So like, go to GameJolt, click play, and you're off to the races. This game is basically the same mechanically, but I needed to redesign the whole HUD for mobile game use because you couldn't use a mouse and keyboard. So like, the backpack is gone. It doesn't exist anymore. But like, I guess this proves you didn't need it. You can get your coffee and potions straight from the main screen. Your movement buttons have been replaced by this D-pad thing, but it's not actually a D-pad. It just cycles between the different rooms. So like, you can't go up and down and then end up back in the same place. In fact, you have to use this other back button in order to get back to the main room. It's so far away from the D-pad. Like, why did I add it here? I just thought it was pretty cool technically, so I wanted to include it in this video. Okay, so I want to start with the characters in this game, and trust me, you'll see why after. In terms of theming, I think this was supposed to be like a Survive Freddy 6 in a way, because as you see, there will be a few familiar faces in this lineup. I guess for starters, I should mention that I made most of these characters in this Roblox role-playing game, so that's why a lot of the models in the game look bad. So we have a new fighter enter the ring as the main antagonist of the game, Carnage. But not like Carnage from Venom, this Carnage I made for the game. Carnage is basically just Withered Bonnie, but he was put into Blender a bit more, so now he just looks like this. Don't remember much about this character. I like the design a lot though. Next we have Wolfie. Ooh, wait a minute, I think this is the dog from that one minigame from Survive Freddy 5. You know, the one that was engaged in that epic sword fight for some reason. Next we have Cherry! Sound the alarms everyone, new Cherry dropped! So this version of Cherry is red with gray accents. Wait a minute. White cherry. Like the slushy flavor. Alright, that's cool. Who was our last guy? Hurt. This Minecraft looking ass puppet has to be one of the weirdest designs I've ever seen. Like, look at his mouth. Or is it two mouths? Okay, so that's the roster for this game. Pretty interesting bunch and a few familiar faces. Now, why the hell did I start with the characters? One, because I know you would like the characters more. But two, if I were to be completely honest with you, the revolution should instead be called the scam. Tell me if you guys realize the gameplay loop here. Get that? Yep, it's basically just the Joy of Creation Endless mode with a skin on it. I don't know if I ever posted this or not, but like, damn, this is kinda sad. Like, all these characters, for a clone of a game, kinda sad. Not my finest work. Okay, now we are going to move on to the cool, interesting tech demos and unfinished games. Let's see what's first on our list. So this seems like it was a tech demo for a point-and-click horror game I was making, since the main antagonist is this tanned animatronic-looking villain. The gameplay loop is similar to Fnaf 4 or Plush 2 in this case, where you need to go door to door and make sure that this animatronic can't make its way into your room, closing the door if you hear it breathing. If you fail to catch him or shine your light on him in the hallways, it's game over, and you get this really cool animated jump scare. Okay, not gonna lie, even though this gameplay is a bit bland, the pixel art is pretty cool, especially this jump scare. The blue entity inside this suit also seems to bear a strong resemblance to the one from the Mall World game. I wonder if it was implying some sort of connection between them. Well, whatever lore I had for this character, I basically threw it in the trash since I completely forgot about this game after I made it, so I guess we'll never know. God, I love this design though. Okay, we finally got to the last game. What could we possibly top this off with? Cherry World, that's what. Basically, this would have been like a spin-off of FNAF World featuring all of the characters from the Survive Freddy series. So it was a rip-off of a rip-off game. How cool is that? Let's dive into it. Okay, first impressions. Ow. Okay, well, I can just mute it, so let's play the game.
Yo guys, what's going on? It's Mikeonut Gaming, and today we are going to be playing Cherry World. Let's get right into it. Alright, we get to select our character. I'm just gonna go with Cherry or something like that. Okay, welcome to Cherry World. Hi, Freddy. I guess we hit enter now. It's time to teach you about this crazy world. First off, this is my life. Okay, that's Freddy Fazbear's life. That's your life. Okay, that's my life. It's your turn now to attack me. We will fight from here on. Oh, okay, so we get straight into the battle. That's pretty cool. Okay, space is primary attack. Cool. None of the other buttons work. Nothing's happening. I think that's the end of the game.
Well, that was interesting to say the least. The two whole games we showed off were cool, let alone the fact that there were a bunch of stolen assets and stuff. And the rest was at its best interesting and at its worst Cherry World. And with that out of the way, I finally went through every single one of my terrible FNAF fan games. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. There are legit no more games I have created. So as every good FNAF story ends, it's gotta go down in a fire. Oh, hey Phoebe, we just finished looking at my FNAF fan games, so now you won't have to worry about me reviewing any of my own garbage again. Phoebe? Phoebe, you aren't saying anything.